So thank you for the introduction. Hello, everyone. The slot is short, so I'll make it quick, and hopefully I'll leave a few minutes at the end for questions. So I will explain a little bit more about my roles in the following slide. But first of all, I'm a managing partner and co-founder of LongevityTech.fund, which is a purely longevity-focused venture capital fund, founded 6 years ago, with the intention to fund and support technologies aiding, improving health span significantly. If I mean significantly, I mean like we are not investing in supplements or healthy lifestyle, because there is plenty of other options, but we are investing in companies with real breakthrough technologies across obviously therapeutics, therapies, but including diagnostics and platforms. And we already invested in 40 companies. There are some phone trouble, so hopefully you will see more in the next slides. The portfolio is still growing, so we hope that these companies will start making more announcements, or they are already starting and making announcements this year and the next year. But having such a broad portfolio of solutions, which is on purpose built to give us the full spectrum of tools and solutions for longevity, for aging, across, you may imagine, aging hallmarks. So we have the solution for every aging hallmark, or simply said. So we found that we need a platform where these solutions can be applied in human, because most biotech companies are really and needs to be focused on traditional biotechnological pathways like targeting disease, right? Because the aging is not a disease. So this is why we founded Health and Longevity Clinic as this so-called translational platform. So within the clinic, we really built, we started 5 years ago. So we built 2 locations, one in Europe, in Prague, which is the largest one, and one in Florida, in the US. We are serving more than 700 customers, longevity enthusiastic people who wants to do everything possible, and even they are willing to do some experimental approaches. And this is exactly the moment where the logic is coming in, because and Carmela mentioned that yesterday during her presentation about the Clotho protein, which is basically a pilot for us, to introduce a very novel type of advanced therapy. So we are really doing clinical research on top of serving regular people with longevity therapies. So what is it in principle? And even my talk is called integrated longevity therapy. So what does it mean, integrated? So first of all, there is a phasing logic. So we have probably 4 main phases of interventions or care. The first is obviously the examination, so looking at every possible detail in our bodies, and know or weak points or issues, and establish a strategy, for the second phase, which is called setting the baseline. Setting the baseline means that everyone is somehow deficient in something, or we have an excess of something else. So we need to balance everything and set ours to the normal, right? Normal, optimal normal. So this is a target of the second phase. And it's all a preparation for the third phase, where we introduce all the possible longevity therapies, but in the third phase, these are the therapies in let's say a regular, already accessible for people. But eventually, for limited amount of participants, we can start introducing advanced rejuvenation therapies with the promise to maybe bring additional 15 to 20 years, or even measurable decrease the epigenetic age by 15 to 20 years. So you can imagine all of these therapies in some like a stacks, starting from lifestyle. So this is must be, right? But going up to these advanced therapies where we are using various type of approaches like clinical trials or case studies or named patient. And we actually, and Carmela mentioned that yesterday again, we are part of this X-Prize Healthspan prize competition for $101 million US. And we won the semifinal prize. We are in the group of semifinalists, which is basically to conduct a proof of concept clinical trial with limited number of elderly people. This is what we are doing right now. These people are right now undergoing the series of diagnostics and therapies without these advanced therapies yet. So when we prove that we are able or capable to do that, we will hopefully enter the final phase where we start full-scale clinical trial for maybe 12 to 18 months next year to prove the hypothesis. So the hypothesis is that we can actually improve biomarkers for in three categories: cognitive health, immunity health, and musculoskeletal health, for equivalent of 15 to 20 years of biological age. It's a statistical measure, but you can imagine that it's like having a biomarkers of a younger people. So we are going to prove that, and I believe this is going to be a huge message for the humanity that this type of approach is feasible. So this will start next year, but let me give you a little bit more detail so you can imagine that. Obviously, on top of all the regular therapies you can do today, we want to do this advanced therapy. So the first was Clotho, and Carmela nicely introduced Clotho yesterday, so I don't need to repeat that again. What I wanted to mention are maybe a couple of detailed results from our case study experiments. I can freely talk about that, even this is not an approved drug, because I can talk from my own experience. I was the patient number 2 who tried that. So these results are actually coming from myself. So in principle, what we have seen was like improvements in a pleiotropic range, meaning that we have seen like many things, even things we or nobody actually expect. Right, so there are improvements of measurable biomarkers. They were really like subjective improvements of activity, energy. So basically, energy is probably one of the major part, because we have an extensive measurement of mitochondria function. The creating or building the ATP molecules, and what we have seen. That in 18 days, my ATP production quadrupled, which was partially done by that my mitochondria count doubled in cells we measured, and their production also doubled. So total ATP production quadrupled in 18 days. We have never seen anything like that with any other regular therapies. There were some other physiological changes like which ended up with major sleep improvement, heart rate variability increase, which is obviously a very good thing. And what I've seen like eyesight improvements or cognitive improvements of speed of reaction. These effects, the eyesight and cognitive improvements were temporary, like lasting maybe 2 weeks, but the many other effects are lasting for actually several months, like this HRV improvement. So many positive effects. So let's jump into other options we hope to introduce in a similar manner in the future, because we can tune up our body to do better. We can actually really get better, but there are some other preconditions we need to address. One of these are DNA mutations, right? So the company, and we have seen other company yesterday actually here, which has a very nice technology for Citrin-6. Citrin-6 is one of the major DNA repair genes, and we plan to start some type of case studies with that type of therapy next year. So imagine that we can further improve function by reducing DNA damage. The next company I wanted to mention, and still we have 35 or more companies in portfolio, so these are just examples, is a company called Senesca, and they have a very unique approach to senescent cells. So we have learned yesterday that what are senescent cells, and it's better to get rid of them. But the company here, they have a very innovative approach that they can actually reverse senescent state back to the normal, even younger state of the cell, right? There are multiple stages of senescent cells, and they can reverse first 2 or maybe 3 stages of that process back to the younger form. And they already have a lot of success. They have 2 formulations. One is expected to be like for internal function or systemic rejuvenation, and they have a light version which is already licensed by L'Oreal in the form of the cream, right? So you can buy it for your skin, or will be. It's not yet on the market, but it will be soon. So this is Senesca. The next one you may know about telomeres, and then having a right length of telomeres is very important. So not too short, or not to have too many short telomeres. There is some statistics behind that. So the company Rejuvenation Technologies, they have an mRNA therapy to regrow, to induce telomerase and regrow our telomeres, possibly within hours. So in animal experiment, they have seen these effects within hours. So now we are arranging an experiment that we can actually use selected clients, patients to provide their cells, their real living cells, to test this technology, because we have their measurements, so we can see their how the therapy affect their real cells. I think that it's the last one I wanted to talk about, the company Matrix. It is a more futuristic technology, again, about mitochondrial function. Basically, what they are developing is a form of mitochondria infusion. Imagine then the company will take your mitochondria, make them younger, and multiply them in a bioreactor, and you can get them in the form of the infusion. Obviously, it's a complicated technology. We cannot infuse mitochondria like naked, so there must be some coating and some other issues. But eventually, this may become like a life-changing technology, especially for very old people, because the energy is a number one aging driver, or ATP production. And if you have a lot of damage, the body cannot repair that because it's lacking energy. So they are going to do the first experiment in New York very soon with three volunteers, plus they are treating one child with rare mitochondria disease. So we are proud of that. Okay, so what time I have?
You have 8 minutes.
8 minutes, okay, great. So maybe one more, like a blinded Clotto case study here, because I found it really interesting. One of our test patients is a 67 years old man. Typically when he came, I believe it was mid of January. He was very tight, exhausted entrepreneur, doing business with various countries, in a lot of alcohol in the past, really like a damaged man. And we started with this integrative therapeutic process, setting the normal, and then we applied Clotto in March. And end of March, he started the transformation, and basically soon he really, demonstrated very similar effects as we have seen before. So lost fat, gained muscles, multiply mitochondria function. Even his testosterone levels doubled. Clotho has a significant impact on inflammation biomarkers, reducing inflammation or systemic inflammation biomarkers. He again, starts sleeping right. His headaches were gone. And when I was speaking with him last time, he's like a new. He starts running again, right, after maybe 20 years. So it's an amazing transformation. Hopefully we can demonstrate in more people later on. So if you want to contact me, here's the address. And now, if you have any questions, please.
Okay, fantastic talk. And let's see. We have a few minutes. Maybe you have questions.
Hi. Very interesting. Thank you. So regarding all these interventions, how many of them, you can do clinical trials and everything, under the assumptions that aging is not a disease, and this problem other speakers mentioned yesterday.
Right. So that's exactly the main purpose we built the clinic. To use every possible means to conduct trials or case studies for aging, not for a disease. So we are, we have multiple locations. So we are always trying to find a way how to make it align with regulations, but still keep the target we want to see. So we are definitely not focused on disease. And the clinical trials are typically or eventually used by the biotech company, not by us. So we are supporting them. It could be like a dual-use clinical trial. So for example, they can do phase 1, so they can prove safety, but we can actually measure a lot of biomarkers around that, because that's the principle of what we do, right? So we have a much broader set of biomarkers, starting from DNA through epigenetics and whatever you can imagine, based on these from these participants, so we can derive much more important information for aging. Even the primary clinical trial endpoint is safety.
So, for example, in the Clotho treatment, anyone can try to get it, or is it
no, it's
part
not
of a trial? Or
it's not at that phase yet, right? So I think that the first, I would say, possibility for commercial access will be at or in certain territories next year. It will not be US or Europe, or I don't know. I'm not so much familiar with the regulations here in Israel. But lately, we are definitely will try to or fast track this therapy to get access for people as soon as possible. Obviously, clinical trials is a different way of how you can access it, but it depends, right, on the specific project.
Thank you.
Does it work? Yeah, it works. So any other questions? If you don't, I have several questions. So first of all, I would like to, so this is the Clotho. Yesterday was very interested in Clotho. When Kamina was giving the presentation, so glad to hear this exact case. This case report is very powerful, and for me, I'm a physician, so I always like case report. But first of all, this is only one case. You have done 7 patients, so you used this as an example. I guess it's the best result. So whatever it is, it can help reduce the fat, right? It can reduce weight. I'm so happy. And do you think I can get some? First question. to try.
Well, we would be super happy, to extend these
Okay.
these tests,
I
but
think
that's
samples,
it's
but
limited.
of course, it's still the clinical trial. So I have a series of 2 questions. One is the X prize. You mentioned of this the grant things. So this X prize, usually your award to what kind of technologies? Do you define the application? What kind of modalities? It is diagnosis, treatment, or some other service, any kind of the. So what kind of the technologies that you are supporting? This is the first, and second is. What's the how much for each grant that you are awarding? I see your 250,000 is for every applicant, every grant for 250, or just altogether 250. So
right.
this is a question. And the third question is how do people know you have this grant mechanism? Which country are you only for European country companies, or you also can face the for Israelis, for Americans, for Asian countries? Yes.
Right. Maybe the third question I'll answer first. So we are working with the portfolio companies of LongevityTech.fund, which are mostly U.S. and U.K. companies. But
this fund is the money comes from.
Yeah, we have 2 funds. The first was European. The second one is U.S. based. So it's we are really working globally, right? Even we are planning to do a lot more in Asia, right?
Okay.
So there are no geographic limits. We would love to cooperate if there is any. So our goal is to solve aging, right? So not to play games with some geographies or anything like that. So this is for the third question. For the question about X Prize. So X Prize was really established to demonstrate, the success of so-called
early start
curing aging, not to get approval for a specific technology or do some like a typically narrow focus. So they love the competition jury or the scientific board. They love the integrative approach. So it's not about one technology. Obviously, Clotho, which is part of that, is a very important part because I cannot imagine that. It could be like a 60-70% of the effect, but it's not like you cannot, say, okay, I will do 5 things and everything will give me like a 20% of the age effect I want. It's not working that way. The human biology is very complicated. All is basically, there is a bidirectional causality. So our approach is really to find a personalized way for every participant, which may differ from all the other participants. So there is always combination of technologies, topped by Clotho and maybe eventually some other technologies. So this is where we eventually expect this effect of reducing the biomarkers of the equivalent of 15 to 20 years, which is a scientifically defined goal. They have a measurements, how you can measure that, the prize is distributed. The semi-final group is there were 600 applicants, 600 teams.
600 applicants
from around the world.
You choose 40.
And we are one of the 40 which has been chosen as a semi-final group. We received 250K to do
Each
this.
of them.
To do this proof of concept clinical trial, which is happening right now, and. Then they select the top 10 from these 40 to go to the final. And these top 10, each one will receive $1 million for conducting this final clinical trial.
€1 million. Okay.
And only after the results of the final clinical trial, the rest of the prize, like 80-something millions, will be distributed based on the results, right? So that's the principle.
So this mechanism is really very encouraging. So I'm sure a lot of young physicians or scientists here, and I hope you can contact Peter to get more information and try to apply for this kind of the funding. It's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.